All right, going live in three, two, one. Let's see. One second. 1 second here before we go live. I gotta make sure that I have the show here. Okay, this is No Limits with Amanda. Amanda, how are you doing this evening?
I'm actually doing really well. It's been a crazy busy week. A lot of things going on here in New York and all around, basically, not just in New York. But I'm feeling good. I'm excited to be here. I love wrapping up the week with you, chatting and getting I don't know, talking about new things. How
I,
are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm doing okay. I'll have to say I the same back at you. I enjoy talking to you, and it's actually pretty fun when we're talking about things. And the political aspect we've been doing actually is kind of interesting as well. Most of the shows we do on the channel are not politically motivated at all, and so this one is when we do the political stuff. It's actually kind of interesting. So because I haven't been keeping up with current events lately, so and when you tell
Mhm.
me things, I'm like surprised half the time of what's going on. So I feel like I've isolated myself a little too much on that stuff. But yeah, I do enjoy the conversation and the wrap up of the week, I guess you could say. So
Mhm. Thank you.
let's see. Now give me 1 second here. Oops. Okay. So I was we as we were talking before the show, Ida came through, and I guess by the time it got to where you are, it was tropical storm Ida. Is that right?
Yes. Mhm.
And it came through the DC area. And I live now. I don't know how bad it was in the DC area as far as I didn't see it like it was causing a major problem when it came through. It was causing some flooding on some of the roadways, but after that went through, it just came and went. It didn't seem like it was causing a major issue. But New York, New Jersey got hit really bad. And you said you didn't get hit very well. It didn't really affect you very much.
Well, personally, no, not in my house. Luckily, because normally when there's a lot of rain and winds, we tend to get a little bit of water coming through our windows in the back of the house. But this time it didn't affect me personally, but it affected a lot of things on Staten Island. There were actually a few roads that were flooded, and the cars were all the way up to oh, just about the top. There were people. I don't know if you have the Citizen app.
No,
Um,
no, I'm not seeing that.
okay, so it's an app called Citizen, and it's like you can put in your location where you are, and then you get updates of things that are going on with police activity and things like that in your area. And my husband, he loves to follow it and see what's going on. And because it was, a tropical storm, he went onto the app, and there was he heard police activity, and there were actually police officers and 911 phone calls asking for people to be rescued because there was so much flooding that they had to stand on top of their cars.
Oh my! Wow!
Yeah,
Wow!
and apparently the Costco out here was completely flooded. My Some of my friends' pools overflowed, and the pool water was going into their houses. I was just telling you before too, my mother, unfortunately, in Jersey, her car is parked in a garage. And I guess because the garage is lower, than the building itself, the back of her brand new car got flooded. She got,
Oh.
I'm sorry. I'm like, I have so much to say. She, she was so upset that when she went to move the car, she hit the pole and she dented her car.
Oh.
And her boyfriend was staying at her house at the time, and there's guest parking, but it's not in the garage. The guest parking is out on the street, and there was so much water that unfortunately his car got pushed, spun around, and now it ended up that they had to total the car out. It's completely like it's a loss.
Oh. Wow.
Mhm.
Wait, is it wait, describe what happened to his car again? Because that he spun it out and what happened?
So he
I'm
was
sorry.
in one parking spot, the water pushed his car and it actually spun,
Yeah?
ended up in the middle of two parking spots, and then when he went down to go, see if it would start, the car wouldn't start. So they ended up totaling it.
Really? Oh, that's interesting.
Mhm.
I know that if you get water in the engine, what'll happen is the pistons will compress, and it could actually you could actually break your crankshaft if in the car. That I know the engine could go. I'm wondering maybe if that's something that happened there. I mean, because you can't compress water like you can. It'll just destroy your engine. So, but wow, that really stinks. Wow.
Mhm.
The
So then my brother had got borrowed like a shop vac from one of his neighbors and went over to my mother's house and was doing everybody's cars because everybody's cars got flooded.
Hmm. As I was telling you, one of my radio stations, now I'm not sure how this works exactly, but apparently the guy who runs the station, I'm not sure if he's an owner or what, but he had the computer for his that ran the some of the reports of some of the feeds that they get in his house, and his whole basement got flooded out. So he sent me an email 2 days ago saying they had to stop taking reports until they can get this all sorted out. So his whole basement was just a waste, he said, and
I'm
and that's
sorry.
go ahead.
No, sorry, I keep cutting you off. That's horrible to think. I wonder how many, how many people leave like very important things in their basements. Like there must have been, I'm sure there were thousands of dollars worth of electronics then in his basement.
Mhm. Oh, I hear a dog.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I muted myself. My little Yorkie right now, which I was saying earlier, was in she had to have surgery unfortunately, and she was out in Jersey and in New York. So I had to drive out to Jersey the day after the storm to go pick her up. And there were parts of the highway that had cars that were abandoned. People were being rescued and the cars were left. So I saw abandoned cars on the side of the road. There were major parts of major highways and thoroughfares were closed off.
That's a yeah, that's a as far as, like, the cars that were abandoned, was the flooding still there, or did the flooding clear out and the cars were just left behind?
Yeah, by the time I got there, the flooding was all cleared out. It was just the cars that were left.
Oh, those people are gonna hate their lives after that because 'cause they're gonna get these massive tow bills after a while, so because 'cause they're gonna get towed out of there. So,
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
yeah, and, as far as I'm sorry your mother is going through all that. It's, I gotta say where I'm at, I live on a hill, a very high hill. It's a very small hill. There's like three other houses where mine are, where there's four houses altogether. We're on top of this small but very high hill. And during the wintertime, it's horrible because it's very hard to get up and down the hill because it's so steep. But because we're on a hill and in weather like this, really don't have to worry about flooding. So, I mean, we're very much at the top. If you look out the side, you can see where there's a valley next to my house and it goes down pretty deep. So the idea of my house being flooded would be very unlikely. So I'm kind of based on that. But like I said, during the wintertime, it's the exact opposite. It's a curse trying to get up and down the hill sometimes. So
Oh my goodness, during the winter, I can't imagine. Have you ever slid backwards?
yes, yeah, very much. It's a private road too, so it's not publicly maintained. So what I would used to it's a little less than a tenth of a mile long. So what I would do is I would get a running start. And I'd gun it as fast as I could, and then if I was lucky enough, I would have just enough momentum to get all the way up to the top of the hill. And my house is right at the top of the edge when you get to the crescent part where you get over the edge, and then I was able to get in. Once in a while, though, I would get stuck halfway, and I'd have to coast back down the hill. So
Oh no, I don't mean to laugh, but that's horrible.
after a while, I got used to. That was the first few years. After a while, I just decided I would just leave my car at the bottom of the hill and just walk up because it's easier. And even walking can be hard when the snow's there. I'll just start. You have to keep. There's no way to get any traction. So, but
Oh,
it's
no.
easier than trying to get the car up the hill. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Mm.
What would really get me was when I would I didn't check the forecast, and like I'd walk out the next morning and instead of being a layer of snow, it'd be a really thin sheet of ice. And I was like, oh, and I was like, I'd have to go down the hill really, really, really slow.
That's
And
the worst. And
the-
especially if there's like black ice. Oh,
yeah, yeah,
worse than that.
exactly. Yeah, I fortunately I was always I knew to look ahead of time, so I'd walk out just ahead of time. I wouldn't just gun it and go down the hill. I'd always if it was cold enough, I'd walk out every morning just to make an observation to see if the road had any ice anyway. But yeah, there was times where there was black ice for sure. And but it never caught me off guard. It was just frustrating. You have to coast down the hill really, really inching along. So and then eventually at one point the car would just start sliding, and then it would fortunately, like when it gets to the bottom of the hill, there's like a big area before it gets to the main road, so it doesn't like slide out into traffic or anything. So
Oh, well, that's That's one good thing, I guess.
So, would you like to look at our question from last week?
Oh, yeah, great idea. While you do that, I want to say hello to Paula, Trung, and Sabin, who's from Nepal. How cool is that?
Nepal, yes. Hello, everybody. Thanks for watching too. Let's see. So here's our question from last week. Do you think the United States should have pulled out of Afghanistan? I can't speak. Afghanistan sooner. And we got overwhelmingly 66%. The United States should have never gone there in the first place. I think that's what I said earlier. 20% next with yes. We got a tie with 5%, and I'm sorry, yeah, 5% with no and I don't care, and only 4% with the United States should have stayed. Yeah, that I'm surprised anyone actually put that in there. That's interesting. So
Mhm.
let's take a look at the responses we got here. I'll start with the newest ones first. Why? Oh my, yes. I guess sorry. Yes, he's commenting on my misspelled words. Yes, I thought I just wasn't paying close enough attention when I typed them out. That's all. Let's see. So is the U.S. shouldn't be the one pulling its weight around, trying to fix a problem the British Empire caused. Mm, well, I don't know about. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I don't know enough about it to actually comment on that.
Okay. The that's the British Empire is, with people a lot of they now will say, they caused a lot of problems. I agree, but the British have since pulled out of a lot of areas. I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I mean, what they did in the past was, was wrong. A lot of things they did was wrong, but they also did some good things as well. But yeah, that's kind of a controversial statement. Maybe we should stay away from that one. So, the idea that we never should have gone there at all is moronic. We had to respond to 9/11, but we should have left after killing bin Laden.
Mm.
Interesting. Yeah, I thought it was stupid to go in there, even because I don't know the whole thing. How about that whole thing? Do you remember when President Obama said when Osama bin Laden was killed, he said that he came out and said justice had been served. You remember that?
Yes.
I thought that was a bad statement. I thought that was horrible. I was like, how can you say that? That's not justice. That's not
Mhm.
justice is when you bring someone to court and you try them and convict them. That's what justice is. Not killing somebody outright because they're on the run. That's not justice. And I thought
Mhm.
that was one of the worst things he could have said. Um, so
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Mhm.
the one more thing, other countries will come together to save Afghanistan people, but no countries will save. Was that the Taliban's? Is that the Taliban's?
Yeah.
Especially USA. Yeah. Let's see. Uh, we funded bin Laden trying to keep Russia out in the 70s. It was designed to fail. That's a good point. Kind of. A whole bunch of failed. Let's see. What was that one? PRC incoming failed detected. I can't remember. I can't see what that last one means. Um,
Mhm.
we had to avenge 9/11. We had no choice but to invade. I don't think so. Um, we killed bin Laden 10 years ago. We should have left long ago. Well, that part I agree with. We should have left a long time ago. Yeah. I do remember shortly after the September 11th attacks, I remember at least two people. One was a coworker, and one was my neighbor. And they were both like, we need to go over and do something. And if we kill innocent people, it's not a big deal because we got innocent people that died over here. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense. I said, and then they seemed to, they both came to their senses when I said this. Why is it okay to kill innocent people had nothing to do with it on either side? That doesn't make any sense, and their attitude was very much if innocent people on the other side get killed, it's okay because we lost innocent people on our side. It's like, no, that's not how it works. Innocent people, it doesn't. No more innocent people should not die because of that. That was just, and they both kind of shut up after I said that because they realized that what they said didn't make any sense. So,
Mhm. Yeah,
uh,
it supports the way that you feel about war overall,
mhm,
right? Mhm.
yeah. See, and Sandeep Mohanar, regular commenter, said, They should have stayed there to protect them. They don't have enough army potential. Does it say army? Potential to so USA might stay there, protecting them from terrorist group. They made a bad decision there. He's yeah he I think Sandeep and I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to be rude to Sandeep. I don't think I think he's I think Indian is his primary language, so I don't think English is his primary language. So whenever he types something, it comes out kind of broken. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm really not because he always leaves good comments, but I do have a hard time reading them sometimes. So,
Mhm.
but but yeah, okay. So nice comments. I appreciate everyone. I'm sure you appreciate the comments as well. So
Of course, of course. I think we started a little bit of a debate there.
yeah, very much so. I didn't get into the ones where there's a few of them where there's people are having little debates back and forth. So I decided I'd leave those alone, and people can just keep on going back and forth amongst themselves there. So
Mhm.
all right. Well, oh, by the way, it's 2,000 votes. That's not too bad. Not too bad. I will say this: there was one vote, one question. It wasn't one that you had asked, but I found it weird. 6 days ago, if you're going on a 3-day trip, how many articles of clothing would you bring? And for some reason, it only got 68 votes, which is unbelievably low. I
Hmm.
think I'm thinking that YouTube detected some of the words in there, like maybe articles of clothing or something, and found that to be might be something that might be controversial. So they limited who got to see this. Um, because almost every time we get like at least a minimum of like maybe 12, 1,300 votes, sometimes as high as maybe 5 or 6,000 votes. So 68 votes, that's something's not right there. So I have a feeling they were playing around with the algorithm on the question. So who knows? I just found that kind of interesting.
Yeah, probably because you also wrote, "I prefer to go naked." So
Oh,
maybe they
is that on there? Oh, oh yeah, that's right.
maybe that was what flagged it.
Yeah, that's probably what did it. Completely forgot about that one. All right, so you have a question. So basically, oh yeah, before we go too far, we're going to talk about the movie Defending Your Life from 1991. Is that right? I think it was 91.
Yep, you got it.
And then the question you wanted to ask was based on the movie.
Yes. Yeah. So a lot in within the movie, like there's philosophy even behind the fact that it's like basically like a rom-com, kind of like a romantic comedy. There's really funny things, there's a little bit of romance, but within it, there's this theme that they discuss, fear. So I'm wondering, like, and I mean, they go through this man's life to talk about things that may have held him back, or times in his life where fear may have stopped him. So I'm wondering, in everybody's life, like what has gotten in their way? What has ever stopped them from doing something they wish they could do?
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm adjusting I have a keyboard switcher here. If you hear that beeping sound, that's me switching over so I can type. Give me a second. And,
Unless you think that's too serious, unless you think we need something a little more lighthearted.
no, no, that sounds fine. Well, the question last week was definitely not lighthearted. So,
Yeah, not at all.
so okay. So how would we how would you phrase that? How would you ask that exactly?
Let's see.
Oh, we got a comment from was that because Cecilia says, I love your GTA San Andreas videos. Thank you. Thank you. So
Oh, awesome. I guess what has gotten in your way of achieving a goal? What is
of achieving oops achieving oops achieving your goal or a goal, or how would you phrase that? In your way, I left the word "you're" out. Oh, okay, there we go. You there? Oh, oops, I lost her. Uh-oh. Oh, what has gotten in your way? Well, we'll go ahead and I'll type this out as she comes back on board here. What has gotten in your way of achieving goals in your life? There we go. She's back. Give me 1 second here while I find my mouse. There she is. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so sorry. I went in to like make the screen bigger so that I could see what you were typing, and then I got kicked out.
Oh, okay. It's okay.
Sorry about that.
No big deal.
Keep
No big
it exciting. I feel like that's why we love to go live. That's why people love to be like listening to live because you never know what's gonna happen.
deal. Adventures abound. Let's see.
Mhm.
What has gotten in your way of achieving a goal in your life? Was that? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you got it.
All right. Let me make sure there's nothing misspelled. What has gotten in your way of achieving a goal in your life? Okay. What would be the best responses for that?
I was thinking like fear of failure.
Oops. That's not my keywords there. There it is. Fear of failure. Okay.
Fear of judgment.
Okay.
Um, fear of not looking good.
Oh, I see what it did. Hold on a second. There we go. I had to
Oh.
correct that. Okay. Fear of not looking good. Okay. And no,
Uh,
when you say that, should we specify? Do you mean like I'm trying because that seems like it might cover a couple of areas, like maybe health wise, or just maybe they don't think that they're attractive enough, or what do you think? What do you how do
oh, that's
like they don't
good.
take care of them, like they don't take care of themselves very well, and maybe they could be attractive, but they just don't take care of themselves, or maybe they don't consider themselves to be attractive, or how would you want to add to that, or do you think we could just leave it like it is?
I don't know. I almost was thinking maybe we take that one away because it's similar to like a fear of judgment, I feel like.
Okay. Okay,
Mhm.
we can take that out.
Yeah. So yeah, because then I'm thinking also I want to give the option of like nothing has stopped me.
Oh, okay, that's a good one. So
Right.
you want to put that there, or do you want to add a couple more?
Um yeah, I guess we can add another one.
Say nothing. I'll put that in there. Has stopped me. Now I believe that there's got to be maybe there's people that have done that. I I find it hard to believe that there would be very many people that don't have any kind of fear at all. And
Mhm.
what I mean by that is there's you have to have some sort of fear in your life. Otherwise, you could do things that are completely ridiculous. Like if you decide you're going to walk off the side of a building and you say, "I'm going to survive," if you know you're afraid you're going to die, then you're not going to walk off the side of a building. So.
Right, but that's like the survival, survival instinct.
Mhm.
Mhm. Um, what else? What else could get in your way of achieving a goal?
Fear of say, feel of failure, feel of judgment. Um,
I don't have enough money.
oh, okay. Not having enough money. Okay. Okay. What is that good? Or you want to add anything else? We can have one more. We can just leave it like that.
I don't know.
Or
What
maybe
do you
we
have
could
any
have,
idea?
well, how about we give it like, we'll give them they can choose their own response. How's that?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Fear, how would we state that? Um, I'm trying to figure,
Other,
because
other, none of the above.
okay, none of the above, and then leave none of the, none of the above. And uh, give
Write your own response.
yeah, I guess you could, yeah, leave, write your own response. That'll work. Trying to figure out how to phrase that. That'll work. Write your own response. Okay, you look good.
Yeah, looks good.
Cool.
I'm excited for this one. I'm really excited to see what people have to say. I hope that everybody like explains further like
Okay.
their reasoning. Mhm.
Okay. So let me what I'm going to do is, though, this movie, why don't you give your initial reaction to it? I'm going to bring up the movie itself so we can look at it. We won't I won't be playing it because I don't want to get a copyright, but we can bring up some still images of the video of the movie while we're doing this.
Okay, great. So the movie, I thought at first, I was like, oh, this looks kind of boring, but but I stuck with it, and I'm really glad I did. It was so it's about this man. And I don't want to spoiler it, but I think I'm gonna have to, right, to actually talk about what's going on behind it.
Yeah,
But um
definitely.
yeah, right. So spoiler alert, if you want to see the movie, hit mute or go or don't listen anymore. But it's about a man who he's pretty young actually, and he dies in a car accident, and he
What would
goes
you want? Well, before we go any further, why don't we tell who's in you're talking about Albert Brooks plays the main character.
right,
Meryl Streep is like the love interest, and his attorney, his I can't remember
Rip
his name now.
Torn.
Rip Torn, yes, Rip Torn. And
Torn.
this is one of his early performances, if I'm not mistaken. This is one of the first times I ever remember seeing Rip Torn in anything. So go ahead.
Okay. So he ends up in a place called, isn't it? It's called Judgment.
Judgment City.
Judgment City. I'm like, I just watched it too, and I couldn't remember. So it's Judgment City. And in Judgment City, you have to basically defend your life. And if they find that you lived your life with too much fear, they send you back to live again. And if you didn't, if you were able to overcome fear, then you get to go forward. But I don't know what go forward, like where they end up. I'm assuming like heaven, but I don't really know. And then like there's all these cool things that you can do in Judgment City. You can eat as much as you want and never gain a pound. All the food is the most amazing food you've ever eaten in your life or afterlife. And yeah, and then there's like a place where you can go to watch your past lives and things like that. And yeah, I think that that's basically it. And then Rip Torn is the lead character's attorney, and he's defending him. And then there's the prosecutor, but they keep saying this is not actually a trial. You're not on trial. But it seems like a trial. There's Rip Torn. There's a nice image of him right there.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, this is are you familiar with Albert Brooks's work? I'm just curious.
So he looks so familiar to me when I was watching the movie. So I've definitely seen him in something else, in other things, but I couldn't place exactly what I've seen him in.
Okay. He's he's a this was probably at the like at his heyday, I guess you could say. This is when he was very popular, because nowadays he doesn't seem to be as popular anymore. So and he made a bunch of movies at this time, and one of them was Broadcast News from the 1980s, which was very popular. And after that, the movies didn't seem to go very well for him. So he's a comedian, writer, and it's interesting because now the people that are in this movie, Rip Torn, I don't think Rip Torn was even known at the time when this movie came out, is definitely probably more well known than he is. And of course Meryl Streep is more well known than he is. So
Right.
and the message, it does sound like a good message, but I've heard people make an argument. I watched some other videos of people that were kind of giving their opinions about this movie, and it's something that I'd never heard of before. And tell me what you think about this. The idea of fear is, is a good deal, a good idea. You must, facing your fear and everything. And but the idea that, well, what about people who aren't afraid, such as Adolf Hitler, who doesn't show any fear? Should he be allowed to pass through?
Wow. Wow. I did not even look at the movie in that light at all.
So, so what if you have a mass serial killer who wasn't afraid to kill several people, and he shows no fear? Should we let him go through as well? So
I think these people might be taking the movie a little bit too seriously.
yeah. So the funny part is I never thought of it that way until I heard them say that. It's like, yeah, they kind of make a point there. I guess you just ignore it. Don't think too much when you watch the movie. Just watch it for what it is. So
Yeah, absolutely. Take it for face value. It's a really cute romantic comedy. There are really funny, there's like points where it's really funny, and their little love story is adorable. So yeah.
now another person brought up that, now you talk about the love story between Meryl Streep and Albert Brooks' character. They get together and they fall in love. Now, you can make the excuse that people fall in love in movies pretty quickly, because it doesn't make any sense for someone to be that much in love with somebody after you just meet them. But since this movie talks about past lives, I don't know who said this, and I'm not coming. This is not an original idea of mine, but if they could have worked that into the story to say something to the effect that maybe the two of them were souls that had been together in previous lives, and that's why they fell in love so quickly, and that's why they were meant to be together when they went off at the very end of the movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I actually thought that. I was like, I wonder if they were together in a past life, or like during the movie, I was thinking if they don't end up going like forward, maybe they'll both go back together and they'll end up together again, like again. So yeah, so those were two things that I actually thought of.
Okay, okay. So yeah, and like I said, that was not my original thought of mine. So that's okay. So that and yeah, that seemed to make a little bit more sense than the idea that they're just meeting each other and falling madly in love, and they're going to spend the rest of their lives with someone you just met like a few days ago. Um, I don't. I'm sure lots of people were madly in love with someone, and then a few, shortly after that, you realize, okay, this isn't the right person to be with, and then you want to move on. A lot of people maybe do fall in love immediately, and they stay together for the rest of their lives, but it just seems a little too convenient for the movie. So I think they needed a little bit more of an explanation for that. So
Yeah, definitely. And didn't she just like wasn't her husband? She was just with her husband then, like the day before, and now she's madly in love with somebody else.
oh, I don't think so. I don't
Oh,
think so. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure she was single at that point. I'm pretty sure. So um
okay.
yeah,
Because I
the
know he was.
what's that? Sorry, I talked over you.
No, no, that's okay. I know he was. He was divorced by that point, but I didn't know if she was.
Hmm. And
Mhm.
also, as you bring up the fact that he was divorced, he was in love with her, and that didn't work out. So how's he know this was going to work out? So
Very true. You're a skeptic.
I guess these are things that I never thought of. I just took the movie for the way it was. Like I said, I'm being influenced by other people's reviews of the movie that I watched on the internet. So and different things. Um, Overall, though, the movie is good. So if you just trying to leave that out of there, just take it like I said for what it is. That's probably the best way to do it. I do want to say there was a small cameo appearance and I didn't know who this was when I first saw the movie. Later on, his attorney um, steps out. He gets another attorney, which is right here. And the attorney, everyone says, "Oh, this guy is so good. And he does absolutely nothing to help him whatsoever." And I don't know if you know who this is. I had to look it up. It's Buck Henry. Do you know who Buck Henry is?
No.
Buck Henry was when I was a kid. I used to watch a TV. You probably heard it. Get Smart with it was a TV show came out in the '60s.
Okay, yeah, I heard of it.
Okay, when I was a kid, I used to watch the show a lot. It's a comedy with and he was the writer of that show. So basically it was just a cameo appearance for him, and he's done other shows as well. I don't remember the list of things he's done. I'm sure we could look it up. But when I looked up, I was like, oh, okay, now it makes sense as to why they put him in there. He's a comedian. He writes comedy, so they wanted to give him a small little cameo. The problem is that I didn't recognize him, and I'm sure you didn't recognize him, and I'm sure a lot of people when they saw this probably didn't recognize him either. It would have made more sense to have a cameo by somebody who is probably more recognizable. So, but his character is still funny though. The whole scene with him is pretty funny.
Yeah, I agree. It was funny. But then also Shirley MacLaine was in it.
Oh yes, yes, Shirley MacLaine. Yeah, you're talking about that earlier. The when they could go look at their past lives, the past lives pavilion. So let's see. Oh, we're good there. If I can find that. Oh, here we go. I think that might have been it. Is that it? No. Uh, oh, well, oh well, we don't have to find it right away. But yeah, the
Sure.
past
Yeah,
lives.
you're going the right way.
Let's see. Oh, here we go. There she is.
There it is.
Oh, yeah, there he goes. So when Shirley MacLaine appears, and then one of the people they all gasp, and at least one person goes, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, it's so funny.
So that was a good cameo appearance right there for sure. So, and then of course we haven't talked about the fact that Meryl Streep's character was so good and so wholesome, and of course she was going to move on to, like you said, whatever moving on is because they don't really explain that. And the as she and Daniel's character is good but flawed, heavily flawed, is the best way to put it. So when they go
Mhm.
to the Past Lives Pavilion, she's a knight fighting somebody on a horseback, and a native being chased by what was it, by a lion or something. He says, "What?" She asks, "What are you?" And he says, "Dinner." So
Yeah. It's so funny.
the now as far as there was a trivia I read. The scene where the two of them actually meet. They're watching a comedian on stage. I read this on IMDb. Now, I don't know if it's tied into the movie or not, but Albert Brooks in real life, his father, literally, I'm using the term literally correct, literally died on stage doing a comedy routine back in like the 1950s. I mean, he actually died while he was on stage. Um, and when Albert Brooks, when the two of them meet, the comedian looks at Albert Brooks and says, "What did you die of?" And he said, "I died on stage or something." Someone made a reference to the idea that maybe he was making reference to his dad actually dying on stage doing a comedy routine. So, if it is, that's kind of a dark. It's kind of a dark joke there.
Wow, that really is. It in the movie, I wasn't aware of that, so I thought it was really funny when he said it. But wow,
Yeah.
that's
Now, yeah, and whether or not it's actually true or not, I don't know. Someone drew the correlation, and they said that maybe that's the case. I don't know if it is or not, but if it is, yeah, that is pretty dark. The the Let me jump ahead here. Uh, uh, so we should talk a little bit about the all his different experiences. So when this is one of his early childhood experiences. He that we talked about the fear aspect. Basically, almost everything that they talked about was dealt with fear, except for one thing I didn't fully understand. But I want to get to that. This is early on. This is where he was a child and he was bullied by a kid who took his stuff and tore his notes out of his notebook. And he they were using this against him as to why he should have stood up to the bully. And his whole life was basically uh um not fear. Well, I'm sorry, the whole court, not his whole life, but the whole everything they showed was almost basically him being afraid of something in some way, shape, or form. um and how he could have stood up, how he might have acted differently. And how did you feel about the some of the scenes? Was there anything that stood out for you?
with the fear and the
Yeah.
I actually liked the scene where he was doing that, practicing on his wife, asking for the money from the boss.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was really funny. And then when he goes to the boss says, "Okay, I'm prepared to offer you 49,000." He said, "Okay, great, I'll take it."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you can explain that one so people haven't seen the scene. Yeah, basically, he's the night before he's about to go into this job interview. He goes, "Yeah, I'm not going to take anything less than like $55,000 or something, or whatever it is." And she goes, "I can't go higher than whatever." And he goes, "No, I'm sorry, I can't do that." And then the following day, he's offered a job that's far, far less than what he was originally expecting. He just immediately says, "I'll take it." So,
Mhm.
yeah, that was the one thing I want to talk about is, oh, there it was right there. Yeah, there it was. Yeah, there's the scene right there. he just he just takes the job and shakes his hand. And the funny part is the guy who offers him the job, you can see the smirk on his face, like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I got you, I got you, I got you. So, a funny part is I had an experience that was kind of similar to that. I was being interviewed for a position. I was for the head of it was actually a job I was up for a place I had previously worked at. So I knew the people that were there and I was being interviewed by people that I knew already. And they asked me how much I wanted to make. And when I told them, the look they gave me was like, "Oh, wow, you really have no idea how much people really make in this business, do you?" Because I think I said way too low than I should have said. So,
Yeah,
and
I was gonna I'm sorry, I cut you
go
off.
ahead.
I was gonna say that, the guy that offered him the money looked like he was prepared to actually go back and forth and negotiate a little bit. Like he would have given him more, but he just immediately was like, "Okay, no problem."
Yeah. So yeah, I've kind of been in that kind of position. So, And after the funny part was after I said how much I wanted for the job, and I got the look back like, oh wow, they were the position was going to pay probably. I wouldn't be surprised would probably would have paid maybe even like double what I was asking. After I thought what I was asking was too high, but then I realized it was probably too low. So, and
Did you end up taking that job?
no, I did not. They ended up hiring somebody who had much more experience than me. It was I'll let you know what it is. It was actually I was being considered for the director of the traffic reporting department for WTOP radio in DC, and I'd worked there before for 4 years, but I didn't work in that department. They were starting a new department, and the guy they ended up hiring was I don't remember who he is. I'd never met him, but he'd been working in traffic so long that he had been working since I had been in high school. So he had a lot more experience than I. So it made more sense for them to hire him than me. So I'm not saying I couldn't have handled the position, but at the same time, I understand why they picked him over me. So,
Yeah. So then you don't feel bad about that at all then.
well, kind of. I kind of wish I still got the job. So, but the I did follow like 7 years later. He ended up getting let go because of budget cuts. And they what they did was they took his management position and divided up amongst the other managers. So I probably would have lost the job anyway after being there for 7 years. So
Mhm.
might not have been but at that point I would probably like you said I probably that would have been I had a little bit of a smile on my face like okay I'm glad I didn't take the job now.
Mhm.
But it took 7 years, so it wasn't like instantaneous. But the one thing I wanted to talk about, and let me get your opinion on this one. There's a part where they critique his a financial decision. Um, where is it? He they talk there's they talk about Timex watches, or was it Timex?
Oh yeah, they
Um,
were talking about the watches, but it wasn't Timex. It was Casio.
Casio, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and basically he instead of investing in Casio, he invested in like cattle or something, and he said it like died off. He didn't know what happened. The thing I didn't understand about that scene is he didn't show any fear when he made his decision of what he wanted to invest his money in. So I didn't understand what the point of that was. And I've watched the movie. I've seen the movie. I saw this movie when it was brand new in the theaters. So I mean, I've seen it then. I've seen it a few times since then. Every time that scene comes up, I've always been confused about that. They it's like they're condemning him for making a bad financial decision. Well, he did make a bad financial decision, but there was no fear involved. He wasn't afraid of anything. He was very confident in his decision. So I never understood what that was about. Did you see anything about that that made any sense?
No, no, not at all. Because he was very confident. He was like, "Oh, if they were Swiss making watches, I would buy that. If it was Germans making watches, I would buy that. But not Casio. That's not the company right now."
Right.
Yeah, and he was saying like that they were going to lose money, and he was very confident in it. There was nothing. He wasn't like, "Oh, I'm afraid if I invest in them, I'm going to lose all my money." It wasn't like that at all.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
that one scene never made any sense. It still doesn't make any sense to me as to what that had to do with fear or what had to do with him making, not moving on to the next level, so to speak, with the afterlife. He made a decision, and even Albert Brooks, who wrote the movie, has his character may say a line like like, "What does that have to do with anything? I didn't make enough money in the world," or something to that effect. And it's like I don't understand what they were getting because he's one of the writers of the movie. Let me double check here. I'm gonna bring up IMDb. He's the director and he's the writer. So, so he wrote the movie, he directed the movie, and he starred in the movie, and he even has his own character say what he doesn't understand what that really means because he didn't make enough money. So that whole scene is lost to me. I don't understand what that really meant because it didn't flow with the rest of the movie.
No, I definitely agree with that statement. It really didn't go with the rest of the movie at all.
But the rest of it, I mean, the rest of this fear stuff was, it was, made a lot. It did make sense.
Mm.
I will say there were scenes over here where they were just throwing in random things that he did were just kind of silly. I don't think that had anything to do with fear. I think they were just trying to throw some comedy in there. So, like where he's gargling with shampoo. So
Yes. That and
I,
that
I
was I'm sorry.
go, go ahead. Go
That
ahead.
was when the prosecuting attorney said that she wanted to show a different montage of like 100 and something times when he had fear, but that wasn't fear, that was just funny.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think they just want to show some funny scenes. So, the was it the one scene where the funniest part was when they oh, I don't know if you call it the funniest part. But he's on the roof. Let me see, I'm trying to queue up to it. Let me use my keyboard here. I can get a little bit more accurate, I think. Okay, yeah, I'll play a little bit of it here. He's up on the roof. There he is. funny, funny part is he falls off. Obviously, you don't see him fall off, but the funny part is one of the judges, I think it's one on the right, just starts laughing. the let me see if there's anything else I would really talk about here. Um, oh, okay. Now this is another scene. This was a very strong scene. I think a lot of people can relate to this. Fear of public speaking. Have now you do public speaking, right? Of some kind or sort, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Can you would you say you're afraid of public speaking? Because I've heard, and what it might have been said in the movie too, that some people are so afraid that they would actually the fear of death is far less than the fear of public speaking. That doesn't surprise me. But well, how do you feel about public speaking?
No, I like it because I don't know, I guess because I also act a lot and I'm in front of people constantly being judged. I guess it doesn't really bother me now. Maybe I became a little numb to it, but no, I never really had a problem with that. Did
Really?
you?
When I was teaching, I taught for 5 years, and I taught several classes. I was head of the department I was in, and the first day I walked into school, yeah, I was a little nervous. I was definitely a little nervous, and I was kind of uneasy as to what to say because I'd never done it before, and it was interesting because I was switching positions because now instead of being in the class watching the teacher talk, now I was the one that was talking to the students, and I wasn't sure how to react. So that I did have a fear, and it terrified me for a little while, but after doing it the first few times, I got more comfortable with it and I wasn't afraid. But I was not as afraid as Albert Brooks' character in this movie. I didn't like freeze and just look at, have a blank stare in my face. um
Mhm.
when I was a kid, I had a terrified, well, probably because I didn't there were bullies in my class I didn't like, and they would say bad things. But when I was a kid, we had to do public speaking in front of the class, like review a book or something, do a book report, and we had to review them. I remember being terrified of that. That I do remember being terrified of. So,
Mhm.
but that was when I was a kid. As an adult, I was never that afraid. And like I said, did the teaching, I got over that pretty quickly. But it was, and the fear of the first day of class was nowhere near as bad as when I was a kid. So, but yeah, I have experienced that, but I wouldn't say it overpowers I wouldn't say it's more powerful than the fear of death by any stretch for me anyway.
Mhm.
Um, that's interesting. So basically, the first time you ever publicly spoke, were you confident then, or pretty much was it okay for you?
No, see that's what I was thinking back to. I remember having a public speaking class in I think college it was, or maybe it was high school where we had to talk about all different topics and I was okay with that. But now that you're saying teaching, that brings something up for me because I also teach yoga, which I spoke about, a few weeks ago. And I still sometimes get nervous stepping up in front of the class. So I feel like
Oh,
when I first started teaching, it's like you said, like I was taking yoga classes, I would constantly practice yoga, but to be up there leading a class is a completely different experience.
yeah.
You know, to be the one that everybody's looking at, everybody's looking to you you know, um, for leadership, to tell them what to do, and they're actually like you see all eyes are on you. So my voice definitely wavered a little bit, but I don't think that the fear of death was anywhere near that fear because I worked through it. But I definitely like my voice was a little like shaky, when the first few times I did it.
Okay. So, you're were you? I can tell you right now, when I went up to speak publicly. Oh, I can tell you another time I was afraid. Oh, definitely. The first few times I was doing live work when I was doing traffic reports, I was definitely uh kind of nervous. I was definitely very nervous. I was
Mhm.
the traffic reports I do now are all of them are pre-recorded, but back in the day when I was first started out doing traffic, they were almost all of them were live. So we'd go into a booth and we'd have a little device that we could switch between the different radio stations. I worked for a company called Shadow Traffic, and the we'd have different you would switch between the stations and you'd hear yourself you'd listen for the cue, like they come to you and say, here's Rick with the traffic, here's my honor name was Rick. And I go on and I remember the first few times I was definitely nervous. I have a list of things I could say. It's written out because I wasn't sure what to say on the air. And I remember practicing and practicing and practicing over and over and over again just to, and then it just when it finally came up for me going live, I would definitely be very nervous. It took a while for me to get confident with that. So
Mhm.
the other thing that was also I got nervous with was after very shortly after I started doing the traffic reports, they put me up in the plane. So I was a regular airborne traffic reporter as well. So I'd fly around. I wasn't the pilot; I was the passenger. The pilot would fly. I'd be flying around though, and I'd have to they go live to me in the air, and that was a little. The first few times was a little nerve wracking. I do remember though that the pilot who was with me at the time, we had he had a regular radio in the plane, and I will say he was very positive. And the very first time I went live, he after I went live, he smiled. He patted me on the back, said it was really good, really good. So it was a bunch of encouragement. I didn't expect him to do that, but he was really friendly about it. So
Oh, that's awesome. I feel like too, like now that you're saying this, I feel like there is always a part of me that even when I go up like to do live events now, there's always that little bit of apprehension.
hmm
I'm actually hosting a live event in a few weeks at in the city, the San Gennaro Feast. I don't know if you're familiar with it. And
mm
they're doing a Zeppeli eating contest and a cannoli eating contest, and I'm live hosting them, and I'm sure I'm going to be nervous stepping up onto that stage. Because you never know. You also like when you're doing something live, you never know what's going to happen. You never know what to expect. Like, look, we're doing a live on YouTube right now, and I got kicked out for a second. So you never know what's going to happen when things go live.
Oh, you know that okay. Now that you bring up the show, I don't get nervous when I do these shows. However, I will say, now that you bring it up, the very first show I did was with I don't know if I told you this off the show or not, but the people who are watching this might know or might remember this. When I first started doing these shows, the very first person I did these shows with was a woman named Ann Marson, she was a dancer, and she did an independent movie called Girl Walk All Day. And I was incredibly nervous the first time we talked. So,
Mhm.
um, then I was, yeah, I could definitely, some of the people that were watching even left comments, or at least one person said, "You're doing a phony laugh when she says something." And I try not to do that. I didn't mean to do that if I did, but he claimed I did. I wouldn't be surprised if I did because I was probably so nervous the first time. So yeah, I completely forgot about that until you said the live show.
Aw. I'm sure it was great.
Yeah. It was fun. Yeah, it was fun. I calmed down after a while. So, but yeah, I was definitely nervous. Um, let's see. Was there anything else in the movie that really stood out to you that you really wanted to discuss about this?
That there was that one scene where he goes skiing and he falls down the hill.
Okay.
Is he skiing or yeah, that was like snow. He
Big
wasn't skiing.
Bear.
Yeah, at the end of that scene where he stands up and he like talks to the judges and explains to them what happened. I thought it was so good because he was proving to them that it wasn't fear that made him, not go back again. He had all these other reasons why he wouldn't go back and do it again. It was
Yeah.
really funny.
Yeah, that was good. Uh I'm trying to think if there's anything I can add to that. I do remember Rip Torn, but they had nothing to add, so he just, yeah, keep it up. So
It was good.
Rip Torn is really good. Like I said, this is the first time I saw this. I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've ever seen him in anything, and so I've seen him obviously in things since then. And I don't think he was very popular at the time, so or well known. So, and then later on, every time I'd see him, it was like, oh, that's the guy from Defending Your Life. That's the guy I saw in that. So,
Yeah.
but he was awesome. He was phenomenal in this one. The one scene I skipped over, and I was right here when he has the paint. Uh,
Yes.
Yeah, this is yeah. Here we go. He has to give the paint. His friend didn't have the paint, so he gives his friend the paint, and they make him. He says the thing that's interesting about it is he gives the friend the paint. Then later on, it turns out he squealed on his friend later on, so the friend ended up getting in trouble anyway. So he already knew the whole scene was going to happen. So why didn't he just the whole idea that they would show the scene in the first place to show that he was doing something good when it turned out he wasn't doing something good was kind of pointless, to be honest. Because they already know his entire life, so the idea that he was going to be able to hide something didn't make any sense from that scene. But was there a fear in there? I don't remember. Was there? I don't think there was anything to do with fear in that one. Was there?
Well, the friend was afraid, so he was courageous and he
Oh,
stuck up for the friends. But then later on, the father came and was yelling at Daniel's character, and then he squealed on the friends.
right, right. That's right. Now I remember. That's right. Yeah,
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 because he was afraid of getting in trouble from the father. Hmm.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. The Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Um. Let's see. Uh, I can't think. Let me see. Let me bring up the. I'll bring up the IMDb page on this right here, so we can look at this together. Here
You
it
know, I
is.
think it's really cool too, Zoom, that you were able to do traffic in a helicopter.
Well, it
That's
was a fixed wing aircraft. It was a Cessna 172. So not. I never went in a helicopter. So, but
okay. Sorry, I made that up. You said you didn't say helicopter. I added that.
yeah, the helicopters were for the people who were on camera. I was never on camera. So the and the cameras are always for the ones that they call the beauty shot, or they basically they would fly around and they could hover obviously in a single spot. And I was just there to do the regular traffic reporting stuff. So, but yeah, actually, hold on a second. I can show you since you brought it up. Um, what the plane I flew in. I don't have a picture of the exact plane, but I can show you what they look like. The interesting thing about the planes I flew in were they were all made back in the 1970s. I was surprised how old they actually were. Uh, there you go. This is the planes I used to fly in, like these Cessna 172s, like that.
Wow, look at that. That's kind of scary looking.
Yeah.
Pretty small.
Yeah. You can fit if you can fit two people in the front, the pilot and myself in the front without any problem. There was a back seat, but the back people in the back had to be very, very small, like either children or very skinny people. And there was a woman. I always find this story kind of funny. There was a woman who I was dating. We didn't go out very much, but she was from Germany, and I told her I flew in the plane, and she thought it was really cool. And I said, "Would you like to go up in the plane?" So I got permission for her to go up in the plane. And when she went up in the plane, I was doing my traffic report, so I couldn't keep an eye on her as to what she was doing because I was focused on the work. But the pilot was helping, was trying to be friendly with her and everything. And I turned around one time and she had thrown up in front of really badly, really really badly. And she was really embarrassed. So not only did
Oh,
she
that's terrible.
not only did she throw up, but it came up through her nose. So it came not only out of her mouth, but out of her nose. So there was like a lot of, it was kind of gross, like a lot of snot coming out of her nose too. So,
Oh, gross. I would be mortified if I was her.
yeah, she was very, very embarrassed after that. The thing is, when I look back, I did not know what had happened. I didn't know she had thrown up. I just saw the stuff on her face. I had no idea what had happened at that point. And the pilot was trying to help her out. He was good because he was flying the plane and turning around and looking at her at the same time. So, but yeah, it was pretty. It was pretty sad. Um, as far as the plane itself, I remember that everybody who went up in the plane, almost everybody who went up said they threw up the very first time. I never threw up at all. But I did get a little nauseous one time. There was one day that the wind was so bad that the plane was rocking. Imagine like the wings, like just rocking back and forth, really side to side. And we had to land because the winds were so bad. I did not throw up, but I did get a little nauseous when that happened. So that was the only time. But people are most people that went up there always threw up. Everybody who went up there always threw up for some reason. So I guess I had a strong stomach.
Yeah, I guess so. Did this is so off topic, but did you keep dating the woman even after she threw up?
Oh yeah, yeah, we only went out a few times. It was I don't even recall really dating so much because we only did like we only she left and went back to Germany after that. We never talked to each other again. So, but yeah, well, not that we had a nice goodbye and everything. So, but there was nothing. But yeah, we did go out a few more times after that. So
That's good. You're a good guy.
yeah, she was definitely embarrassed though. But she had a fun time though. Otherwise,
That's good.
let me see if there's any trivia real quick about this. If there's anything I'm trying to. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, so this one right here. Uh, did you see the book that he brought up when he was waiting to meet the lawyer for the first time? Above Judgment City. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah, it was all the different things that were above.
Yeah, there it is. I just
Mhm.
forgot it too. This thing is hard to pause, by the way, in case you're wondering. Yeah, the I don't know if you know what that is. The books are right in front of them. There it is, right there. These books right here were very popular. I don't know if they're very popular anymore. Have you ever seen them before?
Yes.
Oh, you have?
Like,
Okay.
yeah, a long time ago though. Like,
Yeah. So, yeah, when the movie came out, these were very popular. Seeing above, like you would be, I remember seeing them in bookstores and everything. So, that was like a small inside joke for that. So, uh, yeah, I don't think there's anything else I can think of on there. But I guess how would you, as far as like a final review on this, what would you two things? What would your score be, and what would you recommend this to other people?
okay, so how many stars? Like out of 5 stars?
Well, yeah, what you choose. So you can do like maybe if you want to do a certain number out of 5, or if you want to do something out of 10 or something, your choice, or maybe whatever you want to do.
I would say 7 out of 10. I thought it was good. I in the begin I don't know, for me, it was a little slow moving in the beginning. Um, I I liked the end though. I really enjoyed the end. It started to pick up towards like the second half of the movie definitely started to pick up. If I have like a friend who's looking for a romantic comedy or like I don't even know if it wasn't really heavily romantic. It was more like of a comedy, I feel like. It was just a cute movie. Like if somebody wants a cute movie that's lighthearted and but it does have that big message underneath it too. So I would definitely recommend it. Yeah.
Okay. The interesting thing about the comedy, the romantic part is, I remember hearing it. I don't remember where I heard this, so I can't quote my source. But Meryl Streep felt that her character was severely lacking in the story, and if you watch it, yeah, she really was. She really wasn't that in depth. There was nothing really in depth about her. She was just there to basically be a love interest for Albert Brooks' character and to show that she was superior in being the better person to move on, I guess. But other than that, there wasn't really anything to her character at all.
No, there wasn't. And she wasn't in it that much either.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Um, and when the interesting about it is if you look at the movie posters, and anything that's promotional for the movie, it always shows the two of them together, like they're trying to promote it as being a love story. So, I mean, it is in a sense, but it's more about him and his. I guess they couldn't think of a better way to describe it there. So, and
Mhm.
the whole scene at the very very end where he's running after her with the trams here. Um, the if someone else pointed out they didn't need to have the trams moving. It's done. It's basically done for the movie. They could have had all the trams going in a single file rather than multiple lanes because you don't really need to have them going, or maybe just two files, one for going back and one going for moving on. But the fact that they had multiple lanes like that makes no sense except to create a situation where he has to dodge one of them when he's running out to the end. It's more or less they made multiple lanes like this just so he could have like a little bit of a little bit of an adventure there trying to get across all the different lanes of there, all to get to her. So
Yeah, a little bit of unnecessary Hollywood drama, right?
exactly. Now I will say this: when he was in the lawyer's office, I worked as an office manager back in the early '90s for a short period of time at a court reporting service. And I will say the computers, I'm looking at these computers, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when computers used to look like that.
Yeah.
the it's really funny to see when you watch a movie, and especially like nowadays when you look at a computer, um, they don't get it right. They it's, you know, when a movie, they oftentimes, I'm not saying they always do it, but oftentimes when they show an old style computer, they don't get the computer right. You're looking at something, it's like it's just like it'll be too new for the time period at which the computer is supposed to be from. This one, obviously, they were using new computers, so and so it came out in 1991, so they're right on, they're spot on as to what they're supposed to look like. So I was like, oh yeah, this one got them. The other thing that's kind of funny, you wouldn't get this one though. Uh, for the first few years after I got out of high school, before I did all my other jobs, I actually worked on cars for a living. So all the cars I'm looking at the beginning, all the beginning here, I'm like, oh, I used to work on those cars. So I had a dual thing, the computers, and then I'm looking at the cars and oh yeah, I used to work on those cars. I remember those computers too. So I do remember, I think working on a BMW that looked like that as well a few times. So
I like that one. It's like the other ones were just really boxy.
mm, yeah, there they are right there. So yeah. The and the sales guy was, you know, spot on as far as how they actually are in real life too. So
Mhm.
all right. So, yeah, I got to give my review. Yeah, I would say if since you chose out of 10, I'll say I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. How's that?
That's
And
fair.
I would definitely recommend the movie. But don't do what I'm doing and don't try to overanalyze it. Just take it for what it is. Don't try to look into the fear factor too much. Like I brought up the Adolf Hitler scenario. Just, you know, to leave that out. Just look at it for fun. So.
Definitely. It's definitely a movie, like, if somebody wants to have, like, a feel-good movie, don't think too much about it. This is a good rec for that, definitely.
And my family, just to bring this up, my mother loves the movie because of the message of fear. She's always talked about it. I'm not sure about my sister and my dad, maybe not as much as her, but I do know my mother always talks about the fear thing. I do remember one time she said, when I got a job one time, I told her how much I was making. Made reference to this, that maybe I didn't ask for enough money for the job. So I didn't say anything after that. I I I just don't remember what I said during the job, and it was a different job, not the one I was telling you about before. So, but yeah, maybe she was, yeah, she was trying to play the part of the like the as Daniel's wife was in this movie. She was trying to motivate me to get more, I guess. So
Mhm. Definitely.
okay, well, let's check our question out from the beginning here. Let me go ahead and bring that up. Let me see where I put that. Okay, here it is. Um, okay. Oh, we got a decent response. Here we go. All right. So 71 votes so far. What has gotten in your way of achieving a goal in your life? And overwhelmingly, 75% fear of failure. Interesting.
Wow. Mhm.
Fear of failure. Next one down, we got 11% with not having enough money, 7% with none of the above, and 4% with fear of judgment, and 3% nothing has stopped me. And we got a comment already by Sandy Mohan R. Fear of failure, learn from our weak point and achieve success. Okay,
Hmm.
good. All right.
That's
The
good advice.
Yeah, well, of course, the one thing about failure, though, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, is when you fail something, you learn, and you learn from that, and you learn not to do it again. If you don't fail, that could be bad for later on in life. So it's always, in my opinion, failure is a good thing. You just have to learn from it and go on, but not fear it. That's the thing.
Ooh, I like that. Those are words to live by.
I wish I could live by that myself, but
Isn't it the truth, though? We always give better advice to others than we can give to ourselves.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, how do you feel about the responses so far? We can check. Well, obviously, we'll come back to this next week.
Mhm. Definitely, definitely think that that's a big hindrance for a lot of us, is that fear of failure. But I think I agree with exactly what you said. Like, I have, a little quote in my office that says, "Don't be afraid to fail, be afraid not to try."
Hmm, yeah,
It's like
that's good.
I look at that and try to remind myself, you know what? If you try and you fail, at least like exactly what you're saying, Zoom, you have an opportunity to learn from it and you don't repeat it, and then you move forward from there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep, that's good. Okay. And all right, everyone. Well, I guess we can go and wrap everything up. And that's a good way. That's a good point to wrap it up on right there. That's perfect.
Mm.
And thanks everyone for participating in the poll. And we'll come back to that next week. And if anyone wants to leave any additional comments in the video, you leave them there as well, and we'll check on those. I do check those ahead of time to see if there's anything worth mentioning. They're usually the best responses are in the polls, by the way, just in case you're wondering. So,
Mhm.
and I'll see you next week.
Okay, thank you, everybody.